the boss one. I'm gonna get mine. Go through the crime. Do the time, don't tell me how you're off and down. When you're smiling in my face, when you play me like a clown and you fool bitch. So just step back, I'm mad that when I come down straight. I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'll pull us out. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's see. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's see. Let's roll. Back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people say, they stay this way. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, but you know it's right. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's see. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's see. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's see. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's see. Let's roll.
Double time. Get something in your rigger. 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 Double time. Get something in your rigger.
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's see. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's see. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? 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 Who you wanna roll with?
That shit is my jam.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
We're in the studio today with Chris.
Yo.
Hello, Chris. And Jim's here. Hello, Jim.
What's up? Hey, what's up, Chris? What's going on, bro?
On everything.
You know, I tell people at times, you look like you could be a Kyle Schwarber's brother or something. You do. Seriously.
You look like several people I've known throughout my lifetime and who I've seen on YouTube and on TV.
Yeah.
I'm trying to directly place you outside of like one person I went to high school with.
Yeah, we wouldn't know him, though. We know Kyle Schwarber.
No, yeah, that's exactly why I'm trying to exclude it.
Hey, Chris, have you heard that before or no?
No, never. I don't think I know who this person is.
Oh, awesome. Look him up. He's a Philadelphia Philly.
I was gonna say he gives off a football vibe.
Yeah, he's like probably one of their most popular players. Man bats first and hits more home runs than anybody in Philadelphia in a long time batting. Kyle Schwarber. That's CHWARBER.
Schwarber.
I mean, it really depends. It depends what beard he's got. A little thing. I mean, I'm just saying, you have like what you could say. Yeah, man, it's my brother.
Yeah, just like a casual brother, whatever. Yeah. And I'm never gonna see you again, so you're never gonna fact check this.
I've looked through pictures of him and not put them right next to you. I thought, yeah, I see it. But the thing is, now I don't have this. I don't have this on full screen right now. Now you still look like it. Yeah, you do. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's a good thing,
We're both 31.
Yeah, go for it one time. It's like, say, hey, I'm sorry, you know Kyle Schwarber? And the person goes, yeah, it's my cousin. You don't see it? Oh, they'll go for it, man. You know what I mean?
You plant that seed in their head.
Might get you a discount somewhere.
So, Lefty, it's been a week since the Mad Hatter's been open. What are we thinking? How do we feel?
I'm loving it. It's been a week since the Mad Hatter has been open. How do I feel? I feel wonderful. The customers have been coming in. We need more customers, of course, but a lot of cool people are coming in here. Mel from the Balanced Gourmet was here. Of course, the beautiful ladies from Tuesday. Just a Woman Cannabis.
Just a Woman Cannabis, yeah.
Yep, Sam and Marjorie were here. That was amazing. And awesome. The buzz is picking up on this place. People are starting to understand what's going on here.
I will say for someone who's only been open a week, I will say, looking at your menu, you guys have the most impressive menu of someone who's freshly opened I've seen so far.
Could be the 3 years they had to prepare that it took just to jump.
I know I'll be there later tonight to grab the Alaskan Thunderfuck cartridge. Because how can you not?
They have Alaska Thunderfuck cartridges here?
Do they ever...
by Timeless, the 1 gram Alaskan Thunderfuck.
Rob, you didn't tell me that. You have Alaskan Thunderfuck here. You didn't tell me. That's fucked up.
That's thunder fucked up, man.
You should know that if it has a dirty name to it, Lefty wants to know about it.
Hey, that might be like a new saying. Because seriously, you know, I've been reminded a lot in my life that using the same fuck too often really dilutes it, you know. And at one time, 25 years ago, I was asked, Jim, is fucking ridiculous the same as ridiculous pretty much? And I'm like, I get it. I get it.
So are you?
So wait, hold on. What I'm saying is, occasionally when something's that bad, oh man, that's thunder fucked up. Get it? I mean, that's more. Come on.
So we're saying that Thunderfuck's been watered down so much that we had to add Alaska to it.
No, Alaska. Yeah, that kind of doesn't water it down where.
But it does harden it. It does harden it in a lot of senses.
No,
when I think of Alaska,
but I'm not talking about pot. I'm talking about, man, you said you were going to be here an hour ago, and now I'm late for blah blah blah. That's thunder fucked up, dude.
Yeah, it hardens the saying. That's what I'm saying. Like you've got fuck, that's hard, and then you've got thunder fuck. Okay, I'm
saying
Alaskan that adds like the hard coldness.
I want to get something. This is about me, okay? I want to get something into the American lexicon in my lifetime. I'm 72. This is my big chance right here, you know? Masticulate, which is chewing with your mouth open, didn't make it. Just didn't have the ring. Things like that. But this one here, you know, Facebook, the crowd I run with, I'm going to start with that, you know.
Lefty, I think we should push to have Jim Miller, the words Jim Miller as a pair pushed into the lexicon as a subtype of warrior or advocate. Like, yeah, that's a real Jim Miller right there.
Yeah. Oh, you could pull a Jim Miller at times. I
think that's your lexicon entry right there, your own name.
Yeah, but it would have to be for something I take pride in too. You know, I mean, you know, Lou Gehrig's disease, I'm sure that wouldn't thrill his people. You know, I want it to, you know, I want it to be from something joyous.
I always thought that was screwed up that them doing this. Just like, okay, we're going to name this disease after you.
Thanks.
No, there's people who think there's the biggest coincidence in the world that Lou Gehrig would actually get Lou Gehrig's disease. Holy shit! What were the odds of that?
I'm gonna. Yeah, no. There
are people that
it's wild that kind of claim. But yeah, no. I everyone wants to make their mark in history one way or another.
Well, listen, Chris. Real quick, guys, I'll forget. I didn't make a note. Did you hear about the? I'm reading. Where's I reading about the cleanup in Asbury Park? You know, well, they're not going to do it, and the township's not going to do it. So we do it ourselves here in Asbury. Sort of. I'm like, holy shit, that's the burn up cleanup you got going these years. I wonder if Randy Thompson was doing that. Good. You know, yeah. So I gotta say, I mean, it's certainly not something, you know, that he's not like trying to steal an idea or anything. It's like it's validating everything you've done already, and yet you started out with the easy way. Okay, once it became legal, if it's okay to transfer up to an ounce of cannabis from one person to another in Jersey, what a
Is that
genius way
changing?
to to do it, by saying, yeah, man, clean up, burn up, clean up, whichever way I
Well,
guess
Jim,
works.
being that you're someone
That's
that knows
awesome.
more about, I guess, how the
Yeah.
loopholes and legalities of this, I'd have to ask if I brought this up a couple weeks ago, and I feel comfortable saying it now because he actually made the announcement. Nate from Puffin is began doing a wholesale cannabis. Now, I know that wholesale is a different word than dispensary sale.
Yeah.
So my question is, with that development, does that open any doors or create any possibilities towards, I guess, like veterans for like what we're trying to do? Like,
Oh, okay. Well, if you buy something wholesale and you get more than cannabis, you buy it wholesale and you get more than 6 ounces, and you're not licensed to distribute it, that would be like an illegal distribution or over possession of an amount. You could,
Does distribution include gifting?
I mean, in other words, if it's wholesale, it wouldn't be. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
I guess it
Well,
would depend on the amount.
if they're gonna do wholesale, then
that's interesting. Yeah.
they probably won't even have to go to the dispensary and just go straight to the wholesale.
So the
People.
wholesale, I think, is being focused on the lower grade, or I guess,
But what
easier
is
to
but
get
when
stuff.
you say wholesale, it's a wholesale price. But I don't know how codified it is that wholesale means you buy it in bulk so you can make a profit selling individuals amounts, at a markup. I mean, that's what everybody, that's how it works. I mean, that's a store, that's business. But without it, it's just buying more than you're allowed to possess as an individual. Understand, disclaimer here, I'm all for it. But I have to tell you how I would see it. I'd like to,
No, yeah.
I don't know at what amount anybody would really give a shit, though. I mean, right now they're going after where real money's in effect being lost. But if it's a legal distributor, I mean, in other words, it's somebody that's paying taxes on what they do, that would mean selling more than he's allowed to, or she would mean more money for New Jersey. You follow me? Because that allows them to sell more, thereby getting more money into the New Jersey Treasury before the other person sells it and doesn't get money into the Treasury.
Yeah, I don't see how that would work out for a dispensary, so to speak, because they need to make their money, right? They get it for the wholesale price to begin with.
Yep.
That's why
Yeah, I think
maybe
it's supposed to be separate from the dispensary.
that's why I think then what's going to happen with the wholesalers are selling to the dispensaries?
Yeah.
Are they going to get the okay to sell to consumers like us that want to buy wholesale?
Start with, does it affect Nick Scutari and his plans for getting money into the Treasury? If it even comes close, it's, again, though, it's about how much enforcement power and the amount of it. It's like fuck it, grow it anyway. Yeah, you really can, except for if you can't stand what would happen just getting legal claws into you for something like that, especially patients with very little a bottom line below them and can't afford lawyers and some can of worms.
You have to be prepared for the incidentals.
Yeah, it's good to know. It's good to know somebody's trying to get creative if that's what they're doing. I like the effort. And that's
I
how
was
you
more
find
curious, though, that if that was a legal accomplishment, like from your perspective, if that was a accomplishment made, does that come off to you as, okay, certain restrictions are being softened, or this is something that they're doing to force someone? I don't know. I wanted to hear your read on it. That was just really what I would.
No, it just seems like that's something that at some point wouldn't be allowed, or somebody would complain about it, and then somebody would feel it's their duty to do something about it. Like law enforcement, if they get a complaint, the hippie tribe thing was busted because they got a complaint. They got a complaint from a dispensary, and that they got that complaint started the whole thing. That's how it works. But what that all told us is they are turning a blind eye without complaints. It really depends on somebody complains too, which is good to know. You know how far we've come if that's the case. Basically, just shh, be quiet about it.
It's making them money.
Good. Yeah. They're making money right now, and they don't want that disturbed. But that's best illustrated through the new bill that Nick Scutari wrote, which is to go after vape shops, convenience stores, and things that sell that. And yeah, got a leg to stand on and everything. But that they would do that while still not dealing with having a hearing for patients to have home grow, because patients who can't afford their full monthly supply with dispensary prices, they got two choices. I'm going to run out each month at a certain point. Now I can either make it the whole month or go a little longer if I don't buy at that price. That drives them into the gray market and wherever they can get it a little bit cheaper. And if that takes place at an illegal sale in a vape shop or something, right now Nick Scutari has it so they can be cited for purchasing that there. So
see, and I was saying Tuesday, and I think the wrong message came off from this, but I am all for going after the vape shops and the black market cannabis, because at the end of the day, these shops that are buying these bulks of cannabis, the Delta edibles and all of that, they have no idea how these are being made, and they have no concern for the people of what effects it's going to have on them. It's basically the same mentality as the gas stations that will sell God knows what to anyone without any regard.
I appreciate you having that opinion, because it allows me to remain Switzerland. If it doesn't have anything to do with home grow for patients, I'm like, yeah. And I get to do that because I'm not saying I agree. Blink if yeah. But I'm saying good for you, because that also gives somebody to go after, which in effect should lighten the load for others, like patients trying to get home grow.
Yeah,
hey, maybe if patients organized to help Scutari get rid of all that in these other discount stores, maybe they should form a coalition of patients to get this done, so Nick Scutari has time to fucking focus on us.
I think he could get it done very easily, and I project honestly with how they operate with these things, they could tackle this within a month if they put together a task force to tackle these shops.
That just says a lot, he could, but he's not. You know what I mean? That's where the barrier comes in. That's where the big, I guess that's where the wall comes in. You know what I mean? He's putting up that wall. It's like, yeah, I could, but he's not. So how do you get somebody that can do something to do it when they just don't want to or don't feel like?
Well, you have to have something to offer them in return. Now, people always think, well, if you don't have money and you don't have what you can do is this. Look, if I didn't have money to give to a legislator, and I could pick his pocket of $5,000 that he might need to remediate something I call the world's attention to, or whatever. You can make a deal when you can become enough of a pain in the ass. Right now, Lefty could make a deal with Edison, some sort of deal that nobody else could make, because he could say, we'll stop coming. Oh, basically, that's what it takes. And I've been arrested 3 times doing that on purpose, like ruining somebody's brand. Now, while it isn't really picking money from their pocket, literally, it is focusing their attention on something they otherwise wouldn't need to focus on. And if it happens, especially during an election season when they're trying to, look good. Yeah. So, I had a lot to do today, and it really helped me to have a fair amount of edible food grade balm. So I'm riding like a really good session right now. If I end up in the middle of something and go, did that answer a question or anything? I don't remember. You know, forgive me in advance. Anyway.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Oh, and I did a call.
I wanted to say before we move forward, like about the burn up cleanup, you know, it's something that, you know, me and Chris came up with, that we wanted that blueprint. We wanted to set a blueprint for that, so other communities.
Yeah, man.
And that was our hope, you know. Like the only thing is, me and Chris can only do so much, and
you can only be so far away. Damn it! Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But it is.
Tell me more about this, because I didn't realize you guys were the ones who did this. So this
Oh,
is
hell yeah!
You guys are organizing.
It's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But the township's involved. Tell them about the township. They do this in coordination with police in the township. You know?
Yeah, with police, the DPW, Department of Works, you know, the council people as well. It all started off with just let's go break the stigma down and join the mayor's initiative to clean up town. They were giving away empanadas, and it wasn't really a successful program. So then afterwards, it became very successful. After we went through and started giving out people joints who came to help us clean up some trash. You know what I mean? They take a bag, you know, 2 people share a bag, collect some garbage, and at the same time, you get to, you know, walk through these, you know, by the rivers or, you know, these nice places and smoke a joint.
Mm-hmm.
So then it became
like
bigger and bigger. It just became bigger and bigger, and leading it to be bigger and bigger, we needed communication. We need established communication with the town, with the board or of some sort, because we needed their assistance picking up the garbage. So that's when it became where we became kind of middleman, where not really middleman, but I guess grassroots, where we talk to the people in the community by doing this cleanup and getting more people involved, or even if you weren't involved, you were passing by us and asked, you know, what was this about, and educated a lot of people as well along the way. But then so we had to talk to a council member and got us in touch with DPW where they can pick up. But and then now they offer us garbage bags, pickers, gloves, vests. They provide everything for us in order to, you know, to pick up the trash.
Well, I will. The next time you guys are doing an event cleanup, please let me know. I will happily come down there with my camera, shoot you guys, get some coverage of it, so you guys have some good shots to show off of all this.
Yeah, that's when you're not
do that for you guys.
That's when you're not picking up stuff yourself. I mean, you'll be picking up stuff too, right?
Of course, yeah. No, I'm down there to help. I've been.
Trying to help because I haven't got there yet.
It's a nice experience, you know. Like obviously, Lefty, we've dealt with a series of people, you know, that try to get some pushback, but ultimately the message is breaking down the stigma, and the message is we're not lazy. We are part of the community. We've been part of the community, and we are, you know, brothers.
It's a good look. It really is.
Grandparents. We're normal people just like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, and we
do
good for our community.
And what else do you do, though? I mean, if you all decided we just want to do this, you know, like Asbury Park or whatever, you know, you don't think they weren't smoking while they were cleaning shit up? I'll bet they were. It's legal now. What I wanted to be clear about is, you know, you started doing that long enough ago that was it legal or not?
When it first became legal, that's when we started. I think that weekend, Lefty, we went out, right? And that weekend it became legal.
But it wasn't. Was it when it became legal or when it got voted on and legal? Because it wasn't legal.
It was voted. It wasn't legal yet.
Yeah. That's okay. That's what I really like is going out then. Whoa, what do you mean it's not legal? You could actually do that if you got pushback.
We got called on. Remember, Lefty?
Yeah, they called the cops, and then the cops were like, "Hey, we'll take some weed too."
They didn't do anything; they just left. They're like, "I got to talk to my sergeant." Got in the car, and just left.
But that's okay. You guys, you pushed the envelope. You found out where the edge was, and you didn't fall off.
Right.
People assume when you push, go to the edge, doesn't mean you go over it. You go like peak over it is all. And you
Respectfully.
did that. Yeah.
Well, very,
very
commendable,
important to respect,
honestly, and really just an awesome thing to
And
do
it's
for
being
not just Asbury, not just the places you're cleaning up, but for the cannabis industry altogether. I think it's awesome that you're actively inviting people to come and prove that we're not what the stigma says. And yeah, hats off to you, dude. That's really awesome.
This year
there's
we need
got-
sponsors.
Yeah.
We need sponsors for pre-rolls. We're going to ask the all our vendors for pre-rolls. So
Yeah, Lefty was just informing me, talking about Scutari a little bit about what he what his new bill or his new bill, you know, what he's proposing is going to affect cleanup.
yeah, because we're distributing, right? We're distributing cannabis for free, but we're still distributing it. So we fall under that new rule that he has.
Yeah, and you're doing it free and legal. But again, as a 501c3, you can take targeted donations. Now, somebody like me, that really it's like hard for me, transportation sometimes to really. I got a car that's gonna give out eventually. I'm driving it till the transmission goes. So that's just sort of like hard for me to do. On the other hand, if I could make a targeted $10 donation that you all could use to back up the giveaway part. That's the only way I could take part, if you follow me. And at least I would feel like I'm taking part to get some of the freebies, because I've always thought, you know, that's underused as a way to get people out right now. It's legal as hell.
Yeah.
What's up, Sue?
How you doing, Sue?
It's a great way. You know, you can communicate with the people themselves and that pique their interest, or that, you know, just want more information. And then you go and you know, have this open communication as well with the local government, so that it works out perfectly fine. It works great, actually. There's several times where we ask them, like, oh, where can we go clean up? You know, what our areas are the most affected? And it's just a great way to communicate with both people and the town.
But with the publicity of Randy Thompson doing that in Asbury is like a really good thing, because I know there's other people going, oh, that's already going on in Dover or whatever. But then that could be more of a community thing, you know, to be able to give away joints for people to come clean up somewhere that the community needs cleaned up. And like Randy said, oh, the municipality's not going to do it, and whoever it was isn't going to do it. So the people at Asbury Park, to take care of Asbury Park the best they can themselves. It was a good look. And it's exactly what you're already doing these years. So, man, you know, it's awesome. I mean, Randy had a model to look at too, you know?
Yeah. I'm just glad it was able, you know, it worked out the way it was. You know, at first it was kind of sketchy, weird, because, you know, you're kind of putting yourself out there, and it's, you know, Dover is my own hometown. So everybody knows me to begin with, and then I'm out there just giving away joints. So it was kind of like, you know, a risk, but I mean, the risk was well worth the reward, because that's how we were able to fight Dover on banning recreational dispensaries or medical dispensaries in Dover. That's how we were able to kind of give them that pushback. To kind of, we were there, and this was before it was legal, because we were still medical patients doing this. It was, and I only had an ounce on me when the first day that it happened. We didn't plan on it happening. We were just like, yo, what if we just try giving out joints? They tried handing out empanadas didn't work. Let's try handing out joints, see if we can get random people on the street to come help us. It became kind of like a challenge, like a little dare.
Yeah.
And it ended up being just amazing. So much fun. We had a Vietnam veteran pull up, and he was like, "Are you serious? You're handing out? You're giving this to me?" It's like, yeah. Thank you for your service, sir. Like, it was amazing. He's like, "Oh, I need this. I need this more available." It was a great conversation. And you had people pulling up on the side of the road. It's like, "Oh, you guys are giving away free weed." It's like, yeah. I was like, "All right, I have this back problem or something." I remember one person popped up the center console and bought his own Ziploc bag.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
You want to see who's here?
That would be me.
damn it. You can go sleep. Hold
Yeah, that would be me.
It's a lot of
Someone's
fun. It's a
whining.
great way, get to know the people, your neighbors. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
the
great.
whole community.
Yeah, and it grew. And we take out at least 20 bags on
Oh,
a
man.
bad day of
At least.
garbage, and the things we found, like
Bicycles.
bicycles.
Well,
shop-
you did a great video on that. I mean, I felt like I was there watching you do that. It was like 7-8 minutes long. That's what you do, man. Put that shit out there like that some more.
Yeah.
Really.
For sure. It's definitely, and it's a great blueprint. And I think everybody should do it. The original. We also did it in Mawa, right? We went to Mawa. We had a little SativaCross, and we helped clean up Mawa as well.
Somewhere somebody did. I think it wasn't in. I think it was in Oklahoma. Had a mile of a road where they maintained. Then this mile maintained by such and such.
Yep.
And they were able to break through and do that right out there. So it's all the same look. It makes cannabis consumers look civic minded as they are.
Yep.
Yeah, good look. So do we have Paul Sanford time? I never ask. We've been just.
Paul will be on with us at 5:30. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And
That's
I just heard,
I'm going to have to.
I just
pop
heard
off
from him
at about
again,
5
so he'll be here.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to unfortunately pop off for a bit at 5 o'clock. I have to get my cat in a crate to go over to the vet. I did want to make one announcement.
you're a
before I
crazy
did
cat
go.
Yeah.
So she got into my closet last week, and then I guess was laying on a pile of clothes and got her foot tangled in a drawstring and got herself really spooked. So I'm just making sure she didn't step on anything and making sure there's nothing else. So I'm getting her to a vet. But otherwise, I'm just taking it slow with her. But I did want to make one announcement before that. I did have to go though. That I don't know if you guys saw it yet. I finally got the podcast off the ground. I just uploaded episode 2 today. The Bucket Cast is live. I hope to have each and every one of you on, but everyone, please, on the YouTube and the Instagram, the Bucket Cast is live. I haven't been able to upload episode 2 to the Instagram, but yeah, it's I've been excited to be able to finally, get myself in a space where I can podcast like this by myself. But yeah, please go check that out if you guys get the chance, and I'd really appreciate it.
Will do.
Bucket Man on Instagram.
So I have to
Instagram
go
and
get
YouTube?
ready for her to arrive. So I will come back on if this is an easy effort. I'm not thinking it will be, but we're hopeful. So I will catch you guys later. All right.
All right.
man. Take it easy.
We're gonna smoke the rest of that blunt.
Yeah, I was actually going to tell
Yeah.
you.
Let's go smoke the rest of that blunt. We'll go live on our little phone here.
Handy
This is
dandy.
fun. Yeah, this is fun. I like doing this.
Yeah.
Walk around. Let's see.
They're just
all
gonna leave me and you alone here, Jim.
Yeah. I know. I'm looking. That's been 30 minutes. You guys made it there without going out yet. That's kind of a record, isn't it? Sue?
It's been longer than
so.
that.
Yeah.
we had things to do.
We were.
Well, you gotta make 3 trips at least. Otherwise, we're gonna need you to start blinking. Like, are you being held hostage or something?
You'll see signs.
Yeah, give us the help me hand
yeah.
sign.
All right, let's go.
That's good.
All right,
We're
let's
in
do
the
it.
spot.
Let's go smoke some weed.
This is always confusing with the other view and that. Now it looks like there's 2 of you. One can't be real. They're both artificial intelligence. That was out loud, huh? Okay.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I had a buckle down.
But that was good. I like that.
No, yeah, I did too. I hear it as it's coming out and go, good one. It's I have kind of a zone I have to be in. I mean, it's it's like in Breaking Bad, that last 2%. It's only 2%, but it's like everything. Yeah, to be right where I need to be, getting stuff done. A little bit of bomb and a little bit of smoke and just the right thought process as it's happening. I can ride that I'm in my zone wave like really long time. And I ended up calling Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson's office, the Senate counterpart in the assembly of the home grow bill that's for patients that's not getting heard ever. So before I could even stop myself, it was, because I was in my zone, I'm like, I'm calling like I usually get ready for this shit. Okay. And, I just wanted to ask, we don't know whether or not for sure Speaker Coughlin has been doing Senator Scutari's work in the assembly since this bill got out of Conaway's committee. It's in a committee where the chairman of the committee is a co-sponsor. Now another co-sponsor, the latest one, is also in the Oversight and Reform Federal Relations Committee that it sits in. So why isn't it being heard? Why hasn't it been posted? It got to be Coughlin. But I wanted to confirm that. I don't want to, there's no need to be guessing. And that I met with her with Ken and Evan Nissan and about three other people, with Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson and her chief of staff, Eddie Gittens. We met. It was funny because I was on the job. I wasn't even invited to this because Evan didn't invite me. And I went up to Ithaca College when he was in there from Toms River because I was the man and they wanted to, and I did that. And now here he is. He's got an appointment. Ken's going and Peter Rosenfeld's going. I'm like, what about me? So they were doing it at a podcast, and the podcast was on before their date. So I had like a jacket and tie on at the podcast as they were going in. And it was impossible. I made it impossible through a lot of other things for him to walk by without going, did you want to come? I'm there. I kind of hustled in. But beyond that, I recognized who the chief of staff was. We're all standing in a place I've never been to have conversations in the State House. And it's like a lounge looking thing, wherever they go. There's a person outside there keeping people from getting in like us. So you walk in with, she has to meet you outside and we get guided in. And I see it's like there's like a couch and a table and recliners and stuff, not folding chairs, and stuff. And as we're walking to this corner, I'm like watching in slow motion where everybody's going. Chief of staff looks like he's going first for the corner seat on that side of the table. She's hanging back. Ken and Peter are there, and I'm right behind him in the closest seat to him, with people sitting to my left, him to my right, and around here, and then other people and her. So I was the closest one to him the whole time when we weren't talking. Oh, yeah, I'm kind of working him a little bit, making sure we know who each other is. And he really liked me. I can tell, because I'm being me. And sometimes that doesn't work, but I know when it does. And so, I've been in contact with him once or twice since then, but it was real fun making this cold call. And now I'm figuring all this out while I'm on it. And I'm explaining to the person, I need to know whether or not I found out there's 3 sponsors now. There's 3 primaries besides Verlina. And that was a surprise. And I found that out. And that's why I was calling. I'm like, have any of them, including her, actually requested formally, Speaker Coughlin to be able to put this up for a hearing? There should be no assuming. And I said to her, is that some kind of secret? Now she should have said, oh, that's not a secret. She said, I don't know. I don't think it's a secret. I don't, she wasn't, kind of funny because all of a sudden I felt like I wasn't coalescing with them. I felt like, and I am. I need answers. I don't want to be like, well, and put off. We were seen as allies 2 years ago when we met, and others have asked us to help me. We should be kind of on the inside of this. But anyway, I told her that I needed to follow up. And in other words, I don't want to call back. She says, I'll pass this on to the chief of staff. And I don't want to call back. I told her I need to have this in writing. So I'll be emailing. Is Eddie Gittens still there? Because I hadn't talked to him. And he goes, yeah, he's chief of staff. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Tell him Jim Miller. He should remember me. We met with a real quick version, And so now I've written, but I didn't. I had to stop for this. I was like in my zone writing this letter. It really lets him know, and right on down to, look, Eddie, come on, man, I'm doing everything I can. You know, I told you I would. I got a petition to this exact effect for Scutari in the Senate. Hey, you could sign it. I mean, I'll be, you know, I'm giving him the URL, check to see if he bothers signing it, so I know how. You know what I'm saying? It's really fun for me, and it all starting because of Joe Vitelli's co-sponsorship after not co-sponsoring 4 years, and Jeff King already getting out to his two assembly people with that news. I mean, I'm kind of following his lead, you know, and it's just so perfect that with Eddie Gittins, I have to say, you know, what do you call it? Be advised that I do this publicly, and these emails will be at some time posted on letpatientsgrowNJ.com. And the reason is, well, you could probably even verify it, that between Vin Gopal, which of course he'll know exactly where he is on this, obviously, primary sponsor himself now of the bill with Senator Singleton. So it's all like, you know, right within their group there. And I got to say that, Senator Gopal had emails from constituent Jeff King. So I'm naming them, that he didn't know were on the website. And when he found out, he did an about face because, you know, how it looked. So it's really cool to have been, and that goes back 4 years. So if I were chief of staff, I'd be thinking, oh man, look at the way he's even writing this. He's setting up before the record. And whatever I do or don't do is going to be on the record. We're going the same way. And I said, the reason I have to do that is patients are at their lowest morale maybe ever right now. And this has a lot to do with it. So this means that they can see for themselves that at least some advocates and legislators are keeping them in mind, that there's at least something trying to be done. That's why it's being posted there, because they really need that. You know, and he's thinking, well, then this could make me look good too. Ooh, let me get back to Jim. You know, it's so freaking cool doing a psychology thing here. And all that is me and was me to this point plays a part. I mean, I got rebuffed. Nobody thought, wow, constituents getting in touch with a concise and like common message. If that was such a good idea, Jim, somebody else would have thought of it. It's pretty much the way it feels, you know? And yet now, having into 3 Republican co-sponsors already with email trails, makes it look like maybe I had just enough. I thought, what, 12 people doing this with me? I thought we might get half the districts covered and start getting some traction. And all I needed was people to help me keep track of shit, which, no, you know, nobody like hopped on board and says, holy shit, Jim, this is genius. This gives us teeth. We don't have teeth. We don't have money to give. We can't do major shit, you know, but what is in it for them? Yeah. It's not so much what we can do for them. It's what we cannot do for them, you know? And now that this is like a record and it's a one-way street, and they know that, they know they can't say boo. And everybody can put up what they want. So it's not an everybody thing anymore. All of a sudden I'm finding out that a few key targets might be just enough to actually, you know, that boulder that's almost moving we've been pushing for so long. And I'm really enjoying the possibilities. And I'll be honest, I won't mind a record of my style being out there as well, you know, because everybody's going to see, oh, that was a clever way to put it, Jim. I mean, not everybody. It's 10 people that give a shit, you know, but people who matter might be able to look at that and go, son of a bitch. And the reason I say this is Mailman Jim did that to Rob Campea, who was the man at the Marijuana Policy Project at the time, when I had a problem with him because he upped Barney Frank's visit to Washington. Put it back. Oh, no, we could get a caravan of patients coming across country. I'm going, are you shitting me? You know you can't. You can't put patients on a bus and drive around like a publicity stunt. But Barney Frank went for it. And he pushed back when he was going to be by like 5 months, and Gerald died, and we never got that chance with him again, you know. And I held it against Rob, and it was pretty freaking public because it's how I roll, you know. But anyway, everybody knew this. And then the Drug Policy Alliance had their conference in Meadowlands, which, you know, I mean, it could have been anywhere. And of course, the MPP would be there. So I wrote up my indictment. I made 200 copies. And I went and I shared a room with a guy I didn't know there, so I could afford to do it. And as soon as I got there, I saw Rob, and I went over and I said, here's what I'm going to be handing out as soon as I'm done registering. You should read it right now. And I went to register, and like 5 minutes later, what are you doing? He's like, here. And I said, well, you know, when I'm done registering. Well, how long is that going to take? And I got to smile and go, probably about 5 minutes quicker than it took you. And I turned around and, you know, did what I had to do. And then we went and had a discussion in this really great place in this huge lobby area where the second floor where everything happened had 3/4 of a railing around it. So if you're in the second floor walking to the various rooms, like where we would be, you do this and you're looking down, and everybody was like, holy shit, there's Jim and Rob. What the fuck? What the fuck? You know, because we were like mortal enemies. And I yanked his chain, and I gave him that discussion before handing out what he really didn't want handed out. And I already gave like Keith Stroup a record, and somebody from Virginia I knew a record, and they were like, oh my God, are you really going to do this? You know, it was a time in my life where I was just not going to be persuaded to do anything else by anybody. And it's really free feeling. I remember it well now. So what happened is, first thing he said he wanted to help clear up is, why does Gary Stork hate me so much? And I explained, you know, and it was pretty much the same reason, you know. And then when we got to talking, he said, I got to tell you, your Mailman Jim idea is like the best thing I've ever come across in advocacy in DC. I almost had a heart attack. What the fuck? Well, he'd already not recognized it before, but I had by then gotten letters to 39 offices, both houses, both chambers, from people, veterans, about getting on that FDA had approved a test using combat veterans, PTSD, yada, yada, and they weren't getting subject material. And I got fucking pissed, and I started going down there delivering letters, and people wrote me in. I had to take Larry Vargo down one time. I couldn't get to all the rooms and shit, you know. And Rob was telling me, like, and, you know, it was funny because nobody else knew how well it was like working out. And I was totally vindicated when Steve Fox, the departed late Steve Fox, who is kind of his lackey, came walking on over, and everybody's watching, and Rob sees him coming and does this, like backed him off away so we could finish, and everybody saw it, you know. And then I gave chosen people, don't show anybody because I'm not supposed to be handing this to you, but here's why. I couldn't explain it, why the people that really knew, like, would have to read it. God, I wish I had a copy of that now. But anyway, it's that teeth, you know, other people finding out, and that's how it had to be done then. It was 2003 or 4. It's within a year after Cheryl died. It might have been, you know, half a year later. So it's valid, and that became what I do now in a sort of a different form. I don't have to physically go because now we have way better methods of taking care of business, and it leaves an email trail. And I don't know why there isn't like a handful. I don't mean here. I mean a handful of people that somehow said, holy fuck, man, what are you missing? What I'm missing is I don't know how to file shit stored, you know, all sorts of stuff. But I never had enough going to really need that. And it turns out I might have had enough. I'm just feeling, I'm feeling traction. You know, I'm feeling that boulder moving a little bit, you know. And man, it's really got me back where I need to be. A lot of it, a lot of the way, anyway. So we'll see how it works out when I get this letter to Eddie Gittens. Oh, plus I get to copy the letter to Jeff King and Joanne because she's letpatientsgrowNJ.com, and she's fast working on making it so when you go there, oh look, here's where I want to go. Click, and you're right to my space. You know, on that website. You don't have to wade through all the other crap on there, which I'm kind of trying to avoid. You know, no offense to letpatientsgrowNJ.com, but yeah, I feel like the pieces of the puzzle are there mostly, and the rest hopefully come up along the way. I wake up with something to do every day that's like, and I don't know what else is going to happen, and everybody else is a lot distracted too, so it's almost easier to kind of sneak up on people now. I mean, because there's so much else going on in the world besides what's going on in New Jersey. And, you know, I'm kind of hiding behind that smoke screen a little bit, you know. I'm just sticking my head on and go, really? You know, before some people over that deserve it. You know. Whew. Wow. I'm done.
That was a lot. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's all lining up, and I'm in my balm zone too. I mean, like just right now. And when I'm done, I get to go back and finish that letter to Eddie because I couldn't get it done in time. And it just, you know how I am, Sue. I'm going to edit it like 20, 30 times and get it, and shorter and shorter. I'll copy you too. I can copy anybody I want. What's Eddie going to say? It's going up on a website. He can't. It's so cool. We got little bitty baby teeth, you know. You can't discount it. And he gets it. They really want this to happen. So I think he's going to embrace it. And the proof will be if I see Eddie Gittens on as a signatory. Got a whole total of 98 signatures, and that's without really doing any serious work and considerations for algorithms or anything like that, which I didn't know might be a consideration. I thought algorithm almost sounded like either, you know, a guy's name or a drug. Ask your doctor if algorithm is right for you. That's my tech dinosaur status. It doesn't help me out like ever. And on top of all that, with traction happening, patient testimonials become even more important because they can become more specific and use whatever's getting any motion at all as a hook, you know, and get 5 patients together and make that the hook and how would home grow help them. You know, it's like, oh, it's going to happen. It has to happen this year.
If we make it to the end of the year.
Well, it's my retirement time from this, where I go to emeritus status of some sort, you know, and I take part with other people's stuff and nod my head, and you know.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like dying. If I do that, people will all of a sudden not be threatened by my simplicity and think it can't be that simple, or I would have thought about it. And I don't blame them. And Lefty knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Because if we have good ideas, oh, you're the hammer, you're the clown hammer. Oh, I know that. But it's not said aloud. It's just, and I don't even think it's a direct conscious thought. It's just the way it is. You know, because that's the way it was in the beginning. All I did was open doors for a decade of the 90s, all the way through 2000. I opened doors to get the people in that couldn't get in. But then I learned a lot during that time. I had to be good at opening doors. And then I realized I do have a way with words, especially if I write them, and I can also pull it off in person. But my shit's never been understood. But that's also why I've won bets about it. Like when I protested at George Bush's thing, with the purpose of getting arrested. And it was like, Jim, why you do that? It's all about First Amendment rights, not about medical marijuana. I said, yeah, that's what it's all about for court. That's not what it's going to be about in the newspapers. And I said that like before any newspapers came out. And when they did, I won a $20 bet for the coalition from Ed Hanneman. I've done that twice. That's my
Hey,
I
Jim.
told you so.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
Frank Pallone is having a question and answer tomorrow live on Facebook.
Really? What time?
Yeah.
What time?
I'm not sure. Look on Facebook. I asked a question already about wheelchair access in South Amboy police station and post office.
It would just be fun for me to have a question for him that he could answer, and nobody would know that I picketed his house, except for it's band practice day tomorrow, and Brother Rick had a fall where he wasn't able to actually be comfortable enough to play for a while. And yeah, man, I ain't doing nothing for medical cannabis either. That's a block of tomorrow. It's like totally cut out, like I'm on the other side of the moon. You just gotta wait.
Maybe we should do a question and answer with you. Have a.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Have.
I got to
New
step.
Jersey's favorite activist.
Yeah, right.
Question and answer. Right.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, it really would.
So you want to do it?
I'm heading straight towards yes, but you see how I don't even knee jerk with that. I mean, that shows how I'm getting there too. I mean it does, but yeah, no reason jumped out not to. As long as all it was about was where we are now. And maybe other stuff to make it a little more fun, but where we're now at home grow for patients, nothing else. That would be all where it comes together.
Yeah, that would be really good to do. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I could in effect subtly promote myself to and up my brand, so where people stop thinking of me as a hammer and think maybe, well, fuck, man, the guy's been doing it for 34 years. He must have learned something. I mean, and also helpful hints. When you do have a meeting with somebody. And it goes like, especially when you don't have it's not email, and it's an actual in-person meeting. First thing you got to do after that meeting is, don't do anything other than make all the notes you can, like you're trying to remember a dream, who it was, what his name was, the look on, all of it, just for like 5 minutes. Right outside the doorway. If it's a hallway, you stand there and lean on something and you make notes. I've never regretted that. Especially like a half year later when I'm back at that office and I look at my notes and I walk in and I go, Jay, what's up, man? Jim Miller, half a year ago. Yeah, because I just read my notes before I went back in. I can't remember shit like that. But right away, that puts Jay on his heels a little bit, It's you don't get, yeah. And look, that's like 25 years ago. I've learned a lot since then, and
you have a lot of good stuff to share. So think about that. Think about.
No, I like it. I do.
Lefty, what do you think? Lefty,
you're muted.
Yes.
What do you think about doing something like an hour of questions and answers to New Jersey's favorite activist, Jim Miller?
Minutes with Miller. Yeah, minutes with Miller.
Minutes with. Okay, see, that's good.
Or have a weekly segment called the Miller Minute.
Yeah, there you go.
We have to wait.
The Miller Minute, which is a half hour.
Yeah, it's the Miller Minute. It's not a minute.
Yeah, it's a
Miller Minute.
It's a Miller Minute, which is a half hour minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could
Okay.
definitely do that.
So it's going to be called.
Yeah, I missed all this. I had it.
Yeah, you did.
Obviously.
You did.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll see a replay.
All I know is you agreed to everything, Jim.
Oh man, yeah. It's funny. Very seldom do I make that kind of sense for so long that people look like pictures in front of me here, and it's like, it's like having straight pathways that are actually because you all could keep up with me. And I don't get to do that almost ever, ever, ever. More than one person keeping up, and I can see it's the right level, and
We got you. We got
yeah,
you.
yeah. Because there really is traction right now. I mean, the first in a long time for this. It's just like writing a letter. It doesn't email doesn't get answered. Redating it, always dating it. Never mind each one being dated. When you see all those dates in a row, it looks bad. It's subtle, but it's good psychology, if you will. Yeah. And it works better now, and even I sometimes like end up doing my post-mortem after any phone conversation, even and with Ashante at Reynolds Jackson's office. Yeah, I've already done that actually. Wow, just like always. We're there now though. There's things I've caught up that it's like the years when I got to refer to the bill. See, everybody doesn't know. Most people do. People I'm dealing with do. That bills change their number, but it's the exact same bill automatically reintroduced each session. So it's like when I say S1393 was blocked by Scutari for 3 sessions. It's not. It was 3 different numbers, but they know what I mean. So with Eddie Gittins, I put it in like this. I said, when S13, and then right after S13, a direct bordering parentheses / and then the original. In other words, I refer to it as what it formerly was. I mean, I refer to both like as S113 / 846, previously S3420 / A997, and originally, it has that look like, holy shit, it's going on a long time. It's way more effective doing that along with, it's bill for 4 years. That's kind of quick, but this is like, this bill has been made it through one whole session just to gather dust and die, to come back, like a Lazarus rising again, to come back and die, and not get a hearing. Always call it a non-voting informational hearing. And there's a reason for that. Nobody asked me why. I don't give a shit. Reason is he could stop that at a vote. He doesn't need to stop it at the hearing for information. He's sacrificing all the information that would be gleaned from testimony from both sides, pro and con, with people, engaging them real time on the Senate, on the committee, in real time. That's where the information is born, not already. So he's keeping that information from being born. We don't even know what he's keeping because it depends on who testifies. So he's keeping it from happening, where he could keep the vote from happening. It can't get posted if he doesn't want it posted, and it can't get posted for a full floor hearing unless he wants it. Nick Scutari could block this bill 6 ways from Tuesday. Is that a saying, or is that just something floating in my head? Shit.
It's a saying.
I can't tell it. I can't tell if it's something the tornado picked up or
No.
or it came.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
You got
Okay.
this.
Yeah. So anyway, to do that, but think about it: stopping a vote, having a hearing. The hearing goes good. You get testimony. It becomes way more clear. He's not going to say, I'm not allowing a vote to happen, because he's on the other side of the curtain now, and so he has to stop the hearing itself. And that's why he's doing it, to not deal with home grow for adults. I can't prove any of it, but it does. It adds up, and I know we're always missing pieces of the puzzle that keep you from proving it. That's why I'm really working Chief of Staff Eddie Gittins to find out if we're going to be dealt straight with, even by them. And I would understand if we weren't, because if that's how it works, and their friends going our way, I trust that they'll give me enough to not really inhibit what we're doing. And I had, and that'll probably go unspoken, I mean, even because I get to feel him out by, does he sign a petition? Does he do this? Does he do that? How he reacts. Because again, I do postmortems and I've done it for a long time. So, and it's so cool without people thinking otherwise right here. And actually, Lefty in particular, knowing exactly what I'm talking about. Because Lefty, do you really think serious activists gives a flying fuck what you think? Seriously, do you? Some do. Some do. You're muted, and it's probably better.
Depends who they are.
Yeah, but sometimes you say something, and some people are doing this, and some people are doing this.
I'm amazed at the amount of trolls. I'm amazed at the amount of trolls that would troll us, especially trolling you and trolling Sue. Yeah. That's like, wait a minute, you're trolling Jim and Sue now. What?
Well, that means we're doing something right. It's good trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but also, thing is, I like it to my face. I'd love for somebody to come on here and do it. So, invite them on. When that happens, invite them on. And I understand the fun part is you could do what few people get to do. You can mute somebody when their time's up, and they just become mimes. And the other person gets to talk. No, the way it should be done, Not like, well, I yelled or no, I want time. It's like, and I get to have notes nobody sees. I'm way better. I'm way better like that. I'll come, and I won't be swayed away from the real thing, which is it's all about a hearing, an informational hearing, and information that will never happen, as I call it, be born, because you don't know what's going to happen at a hearing. And it's not a walkover. And if it was a walkover, then it should be heard especially. I mean, right? If this is the will of the people, what if there's a people's mandate? There's a mandate. I'm going to use words I don't fucking like hearing too. It's weird how everything kind of works, except for you can't see me do it, but I do this sometimes because that's energy. Look it up.
It's an energy.
It's a thing like this or the almond shaker.
I
all
get
that.
it.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I do that. I don't do this. But this is becoming very visible in front of Elon Musk every fucking where I look, doing that. And then I find myself sitting there like he co-opted it, Hey, I can't ride with an American freaking flag on my car now. Oh, no, I started that. Cheryl and I, we did a thing from the State House to drum thwack it, obviously way long ago. And there was 4 or 5 cars, and we all had American flags there all the way up to 06. This is before anybody. Yeah, man. And now I don't like shit being co-opted, I don't like being restrained like that. But anyway, I can't do this anymore. I do that when I'm sitting, leaning over. I'm doing that right now. You just can't see it. It feels so good. You can actually feel it if you. Well,
or you could just do this.
Yeah. Well, I'm going back. I'm going back and hide that. We can say I see you now. Look how smart I got for that second. All that energy right in my brain balls up. I mean, this way it travels. And that travel according to people that taught me from right to left. That this would actually be like receiving. This would be, and that ionizes some shit when you do healing without touching. I could. Okay, I'm gonna say it one time. I could make Cheryl's leg
You got
move.
pull on sideways.
Am I sideways?
Wow, man, he went sideways. That's a phrase. Something went sideways. Yeah, I get it. That's pretty cool. Don't go away, man. Just go away. Who's that? Snagglepuss was a cartoon character. Don't. This stuff will wear off soon. What are we looking at now? Yeah, I know it's not like really like necessarily topical to us, but I really want to hear about Africa with Paul. I mean, I don't know anybody that just got back from Africa.
I do.
Yeah, well, I know Paul.
Yeah, my yoga instructor. She goes there every January and teaches.
Oh.
So she goes to different, of course she goes to different areas. It's pretty cool. Like it's pretty interesting the stuff she comes back and tells us. It's really, I really love listening to her. She's a nurse. She was a cardiothoracic nurse. She did open heart.
There he is.
Her husband is he's a radiology professor. Hi, Paul.
Hey.
There he is. I know Paul. What's up?
Let's see. I can barely hear you.
Oh.
There must be a button for that.
No.
That's not it. More.
So cool. If we were all actually together in one place, you all could see if I was looking at you, and you don't know who I'm staring at right now. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that. I mean, if I was talking and as a circle and I saw somebody like staring at me like that, it'd be a little disconcerting. So I have freedom to be me.
Okay. Well, I can just barely hear you. I'm not sure how to turn it up. I've got all my things turned up as loud as I can.
We could shout.
But I can hear you.
Can
I don't know why it's not coming through the speaker.
We can hear you really well.
Yeah.
Good. Well, here we are. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and are all of you in New Jersey?
Yes.
Yes.
The Garden State.
Yes.
They're in New Jersey. I live in Jersey.
Yeah.
There's where that fine line is.
Okay.
Okay. They're over the Mason-Dixon line. I'm right by the bridge.
Yeah. Well, small state as New Jersey appears on a map, I'll give it. We have like 3 distinct zones in New Jersey. When we say central, north, and south, it's not just geographical. It's like one place calls it Taylor's ham, one place calls it pork roll. Son of a bitch,
It's Taylor ham.
I've been in a few places in New Jersey, so I'm a little familiar with it on several trips.
Yeah.
I had a friend who lived near Atlantic City, and I was up
that's way down
around Newark. I even went across down where Washington crossed the Delaware one time when I was about, 17 or 18. A long time ago.
Yeah, well, those are vastly different parts of New Jersey too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Asbury Park.
You would know.
There.
Yeah. You've been down been down.
East Philly.
Have you driven down the Garden State Parkway for any length of time?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is we're known by sometimes what exit.
A few times.
Yeah. What exit?
I can't tell you that.
No. I mean that's what people here would be like.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Where are you? You live in New Jersey? What exit?
Yeah. That's for real. We do that.
I now I know. I didn't know. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
In eastern or western Oregon, where I live, you might be able to do that with the I-5 corridor.
Yeah.
But something similar.
Yeah, but on the other hand, when I moved from Plainfield, which would be North Jersey, I came to Tom's
North Jersey.
Okay, it's not North Jersey U, but it's 11 miles from New York. I mean, it's kind of up there. But when I came to Tom's River, everybody, seemed to be a lot of people because that was an up and coming spot, more beach halfway to Atlantic City, maybe from up there, geographically speaking. And so many people were from the city. Where are you from? Yeah, you've been. Oh, I'm from the city. I moved here from the city. And I always assumed New York City.
Yeah.
Right? No, that was anything over the Perth Amboy Bridge, over the river. Anything over that, people called it the city. what kind of land is this I moved to? But anyway, New Jersey, it's fun watching somebody that's never been here when you pick them up at the airport, because it's like just like The Sopranos. I mean, you're going by the beginning scenes of The Sopranos. No matter
I don't even count flying through Newark as being there. I mean,
No.
I've flown through Newark a lot of different destinations, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, when they get out and all right, you got to ride somewhere, and you're going to be on the Parkway almost no matter what you do.
Right.
You know,
It's a crowded airport.
Yeah, and then it's like Tony Sopranos land. It's famous for one TV series, you know. But and we're kind of like the armpit in New York, you know.
Yeah, it's been that my whole life, you know.
Yeah, Oregon just sounds like some sort of really nice faraway place to me. I've never been to California.
Well, if you ever come, I'll show you around a little bit.
Yeah,
I love giving tours of waterfalls.
Yeah. So what's new with you? I mean,
mountains.
You know, and I already warned everybody. Said I just want to hear like a little assessment of your trip to Africa, because I told Sue I don't know anybody that goes to Africa. Well, I do. God damn it, she knew somebody.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. So how long were you there? It was a pretty decent.
I was in Africa for 16 days.
Yeah, that's
and at first when I went, I booked it because I was under the assumption that we would start in Kenya, then go to Uganda, and then Zimbabwe. And so the thing in Uganda got canceled for various reasons, and some of our group did go to Zimbabwe, but you know, I was there on their dime, and I couldn't afford to travel around a lot, and so they didn't pay me to go to Zimbabwe and meet with the president there. You know,
okay.
Some of my friends did. Paul Benham from Australia, and previously from England, pioneer in hemp plastic and hemp food.
Paul, I have some friends that they go and they teach, you know, every January out in Africa to different areas, and they were talking about Zimbabwe. Just this past trip that they took, and they said it was kind of dangerous there, that it wasn't as beautiful as, you know, the other areas they had been in, that it was a little, you know, I guess like how people feel when they go to the city, our city.
Well, I didn't go there, so I spent most of my time in Nairobi.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did take a little 2-day side trip to the beach when a guy offered me the ability to stay at a beachfront house for a couple days. I wish I'd had more time for that, but I did. And
nice.
I got to spend a couple days, which is kind of cool. I'd never seen the Indian Ocean, so that was a first on that one.
It's still called the Indian Ocean, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. No one's talking about changing the name of that one anyway.
You can't be too sure. I don't know.
Right. Trump hasn't reached out to try to claim that one yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. Well, I on the other side of the country, I heard some wise ass cracks from Canada thinking they might rename 3 of the Great Lakes. You know, because they're more ours than yours or whatever. You know, just to I'd say, well, that would be a kind of an equal turn.
I guess Lake Ontario, watch out. It's going to become Lake Ohio or something, right?
Yeah, well, but then, you know, maybe Lake. Oh, I got to look at the map.
Lake America.
Which ones have the most percentage, highest percentage of the others to be in Canadian shoreline? You know, I don't know how the shorelines work out, but they have a claim to one anyway, I say.
Well, we've got Michigan.
Yeah.
There's no Canadian borders there. Lake Michigan.
Yeah, they can't mess with that. Well, for now.
It's pretty big.
This is true, you know, for now. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. So it's like ocean big.
It is. It's got ocean-like waves on it.
Yep. Yeah, I've surfed around Michigan.
It freezes over. It's probably melted now, but it freezes over most winters.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, so I had a good time. The whole thing going to Africa was through some people I'd met at previous hemp conferences in in Thailand and had been online friends with. And then they, in Thailand, the fellow who is the executive director of the National Industrial Hemp Council of America, Patrick Atagi, was there. So we both met him there. This lady, Angel Israel is her name, and Kiama Robert. Kiama and I have been friends online for some time. We met there in Thailand. Then they invited me to come to this event in Nairobi. And so they brought in the National Industrial Hemp Council, and they financed it with a grant from the United States Department of Agriculture. So
wow.
I actually now have 2 pardons from President Biden for simple possession of marijuana. But I have gone from, at one point, the federal government tried to imprison me for 10 years, and a jury wouldn't allow that to happen. Instead, I got a simple possession conviction. And now I've been pardoned by the president. But I've gone from the federal government trying to put me away in prison to paying for me to go to Africa and talk about hemp. So it's quite a strange little circle. But
when was the avoidance of any prison time? When about was that? How long ago?
Well, the trial was December of 1993.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I actually wrote a story about it that will give you more details than I could even recite here. If you want more information, just look up How Fija, F-I-J-A, How Fija Saved My Life. And I actually told your compadre or fellow New Jerseyan Ed Fortune about jury nullification, and it was, it was prior to him doing that there.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a long road though. 93.
And it goes back further than that. I'll be 65 in June, and just before my 18th birthday, I went to the White House smoke-in. And so that was my first cannabis.
It's a very amazing timeline.
That was organized by the Yippies. And so I actually linked up with the Yippies and Dana Beal and that crew there from Washington State, and became Washington State Normal Coordinator as designated by the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Law's executive director at the time, which was Kevin Zeese, the late great Kevin Zeese.
Yeah.
But so I've been doing it since I was a teenager, really.
Yeah, really. It's
I got my first pound when I was 13.
Well,
they were only $110 then in Mexico, and I was in Dallas, Texas. So
yeah, well, you're like the cannabis equivalent of a rock star, I mean, people should be picking your brain all the time.
It's happening more and more.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went and I gave this presentation, and they put it at the fanciest hotel in Nairobi, the same place that Obama stays, where they search your dog for explosives. I mean, they search your vehicle for explosives every time you come in with their dogs and mirrors and stuff. But anyway, a lot of government people came to that. It was very successful. There were people there from several people from different companies in America, including the Hempwood Company of Kentucky and I&D Hemp of Montana. And at that conference, I have expertise not just in industrial hemp, but also in medical marijuana and legalization and cannabis cultivation. So at this conference, I was only supposed to talk about hemp fiber, hemp protein, and the history of hemp. So I do go into its history in China and Japan and India and Christianity. And anyway, I did that. But there were several things I couldn't talk about. And I told some people there, I couldn't talk about medical marijuana, and I couldn't talk about marijuana legalization and that. So they arranged a second presentation, since I was there for another week anyway, that took place at the campus of the Kenya National Museums. So the Kenya National Museums is a little complex that includes the University of Nairobi's Institute for Anthropology, Gender, and African Studies. And so I got to go there and give my full presentation. And we had like a little breakfast thing with these weird little donut-like things in the morning with coffee and tea, and then like a brunch afterward. It went on for about 4 hours. Everybody introduced themselves. And again, it was a lot of government people. And people from Botswana and Zimbabwe were there as well. A lot of doctors, a lot of herbalists, and a lot of Rastafarians. I linked up with the Rastafari Society of Kenya, went by their headquarters, and I've done one of my, I also do a low budget cable television show, which is available on the internet. So I've interviewed them for my cable TV show too, just like I have you, Jim, and you, Lefty.
Amazing.
Well, when you're talking to a low budget cable,
oh yeah,
whatever.
That's
but
how we got going. It was the only way we could communicate, really. That's how I got started. I would not have all my clinics and everything without my cable.
Well, it ups your communication skills just to communicate regularly, like through a podcast or a cable show or something.
Yeah, I have done 1,190 episodes of Cannabis Common Sense since October of 1996. Wow. So we're going on.
Yeah, I've seen
27 to 28 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's see how much longer I can go. I hope significantly longer.
Wow.
Time waits for no one. They won't wait for me.
You have great news on your show. You do the best news segments ever. Where do you get your news?
Doing the news as much lately, but yeah, if you go back, I started doing it, back in '96, and back in '96, well, actually going back to 1988, I got my first computer. It was a Commodore 64 with a little dot matrix printer, and I hooked up to CompuServe. And through CompuServe, they had this thing called the Executive News Service. So I put in keywords for the Associated Press, Reuters, New York Times, and they pull out all the articles that said marijuana, hemp, cannabis. So I had all these articles.
Wow.
And I started, nobody else is seeing these articles. I was paying pretty penny actually to get them. So, and at the same time, I was selling hemp paper. We haven't talked about that at all. That's one of the reasons I get to go to these hemp-only conferences, is I kind of pioneered the modern hemp industry and started importing hemp paper and hemp fabric from China back in the 80s and 90s. And so I was selling hemp paper, and I figured, well, I can put out these news stories and put a little tag on there saying it's a public service of tree-free eco paper. And so I did. And I started putting it out. At the time, you were limited to 8 characters for a file name. You couldn't have more than 8 characters for any file name. So I figured, hemp news, that's perfect for a file name. It's got 8 letters. So I started doing hemp news on the Usenet bulletin boards. Before there was a web, it was only text driven, and there was no graphical interface. So I posted them to the Usenet news groups, alt hemp, alt drugs, a bunch of different news groups that are still out there. And eventually, once we got the cable television show going, I started just announcing them on that. But I started putting those out on the internet in 1988.
Wow. Man.
With a little Commodore 64 to start with.
Wow.
It's hard to comprehend. And even for a tech dinosaur like me, I know what you're talking about, because that was big news then. And
that reawakened a few brain cells from back there in the 80s and 90s. Once the web came out, the Usenet news groups disappeared pretty much. Well, they're still there, but nobody knows about them.
Yeah, when I walked across the state in '93 and got back to where each night, in the beginning, I would go back to Jersey City, where home base was, and then it took 10 days. But to get back that first night, and I guess somewhere around 11:30 or so, the guy we're staying with, Andrew Seidenfeld, he is hooked up. He goes, "Oh, let me see if there's anything out yet." I don't know what he's doing. He goes over his computer and starts doing stuff, and he starts reading me tomorrow's story in 1993. I'm hearing it like same day, and I thought that was the most cool futuristic thing I'd ever experienced. That it was already there, and then it would be at that time. I guess it was pretty much the exact same thing. It wasn't like a different thing online. So that was 93, and you're talking about like an epic amount of time.
88. It was before there was a web.
Yeah, no,
the web really started 91, 92.
That's why it sounds so impossibly old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I had these articles and nobody saw. But now, and I keep doing it. I don't do the news nearly as much as I used to. There's so many websites out there that do it so much better. So I don't want to even try to compete. I just kind of go, what's the best topics I can pull out from this period of time?
Well, some of it's just going on too. It's not just, before the coalition. I mean, that was like recent by these standards in 2000 and end of 2002. And, we'd have monthly meetings, and we'd be happy when we had one or two things to talk about at a meeting. I mean, in New Jersey, one or two at all different, and now it's like, you can't keep up with everything, and that's just on a New Jersey scale. You're talking about like a worldwide, national scale, and you can't keep up with the news. And like you said,
there's a few sites that do. Marijuana. There's a couple of them. MarijuanaNews.net. There's a few of them that do a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I gotta start.
Normal keeps a few good articles in their weekly news archive. I've always appreciated that as a source.
What are some of the hot topics right now? What's the hottest topic?
All the different legalization in general. I mean, one thing is Schedule 3. Are we going to get it? Probably not. The beer industry, the alcohol industry, the pharmaceutical industry, they're going to fight it. If it ever gets to the point where they're going to fight, they're prepared and have been working for some time to file a lawsuit to try to stop it. So, and our government's becoming more and more a corporatocracy, and so those corporations have a lot of money, and they don't. The beer and alcohol industry, they lose money when marijuana becomes legal. The petrochemical industry will eventually lose money when marijuana becomes legal, because we can drive our cars on it, and on hemp seed oil for diesel engines and ethanol from biomass. So they can't control that, and it's naturally decentralized, and those big corporations don't like that. I think what we're seeing right now is actually they're getting rid of the whole federal government so they can bring in AI to run everything, or almost everything.
Yeah, it's getting a little spooky.
That seems to be the gameplay here, is put our AI in charge of everything and get ready to force the people down with military and police force. Just is pretty ominous, really.
Yeah, we have our own
Trump
Terminator
is
movie,
taking
right?
control of everything and putting his minions in there and pulling out all the controls and the inspectors.
Oh yeah, and right out in the open, and it's so much to keep up with. But
it's kind of like our only hope is that somehow the people revolt, especially in the next general election in 2 years. But by 2 years, God knows where we'll be.
Yeah, that is, to me, I have this conversation on probably every.
Well, Virginia's about to vote, so hopefully they'll vote down all those Republicans. And I mean, Virginia's losing more employees than any other state.
Yeah, well, Virginia and New Jersey being the only two states who have counter to federal election years.
But so rescheduling, that is a hot topic. But again, I think it's just not going to happen because of the corporate interests.
I agree.
Both parties been controlled by that, or they stopped. I thought Bernie Sanders was kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi, our only hope, but he's not gonna. He's too old to run for president, but he's still out there fighting. So we'll see what happens.
There's a such thing as too old to run for president. I wasn't aware.
Yeah, and he admits that. So at least there's
well,
okay. He's 83 years old. He's
yeah,
83,
right. Yeah.
And God bless him, boy. Yeah. He's out there.
He's still
he's
smart
leading
as
the resistance.
He hasn't lost any cognitive abilities, as far as I can tell.
Hasn't lost his edge either. I mean, he really hasn't.
No, and people really do like him. You know,
okay. The poorest man
been stopped. He was stopped.
Poorest man in the Senate. That's quite the mantle to have.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's when I heard that. I hope it's still. I don't hope it's still true that he doesn't have enough money or something. But that always spoke really loud to me. I mean, if you're going to trust somebody, the more money they have, the more I find a natural defense, and it might not even be warranted. I don't know. But with him, he was easier to listen to. It's something.
Well, on medical, let's talk a little bit about medical, because I help medical marijuana patients still, and there are a lot of breakthroughs that way. Have you heard about this book called The Cannabis Cancer Connection?
No.
The Cannabis Cancer Connection. It's written by this guy, Joe Goldstridge. And he talks about how different cannabinoids and terpenes affect various forms of cancer. There's like 15 kinds of breast cancer. So different ones work differently. And so it touches on that. So we could look at specific formulas of cannabinoids that would stop the vast majority of cancers out there. Then there's these new cannabinoids. We've known about CBC or cannabichromene for a long time, but I found in my experience working with patients that some patients say it's the game changer when it comes to many different medical conditions. So cannabichromene and CBG, the mother cannabinoid, cannabidiol, has great utility, perhaps more than CBD. But then there's a new one that I just heard of last week, and that is THCP. THCP is supposed to be 30 times more psychoactive than THC Delta 9. So there's some of the latest news in terms of medical that I can put out there.
What's it called? What's the P stand for?
I'm not sure. I can't tell you that right off the top of my head.
I know THCV helps diabetes. And
I should Google that, but I don't have my phone here. You guys do that.
Oh, okay. So let's Google. The first answer gets a slightly used pre-roll.
Well, why? You're going to be...
I'm having trouble hearing you. I don't know why.
Me or Jim?
I just leaned in closer to my microphone.
Okay. THCP binds to the CB1 receptors in the brain. Italian researchers, discovered THCP in 2019. They isolated the compound from cannabis plants using liquid chromatography. And the effects can cause almost psychedelic effects, but does not cause hallucinations. It may have a more pronounced impact on the cannabis strain psychoactivity than THC. Too much THCP may potentially result in negative effects. Okay, like anything else.
Well, it's a new one. That's why and it's supposed to be so psychoactive. I mean, I don't know anybody who's ever grown it, but
it's an analog of THC. It has a longer
Is it Delta 8?
Chain with 7 carbon atoms compared to Delta 9. I just lost
it's a Delta 8, Paul, right?
THC, which has 5.
Is it a Delta 8? I believe it's Delta 8 here. And I think it's parahexyl or parotetanine.
Para with a P?
PERROTTETINENE. Parotetanine.
Well, that's a P. You're
And there's
looking for
also
a P.
parahexyl, PARAHEXYL.
Wow.
It also says delta 8 THC. So I'm.
What do you think, Paul? How many more, if you had to give an incredibly vague ballpark estimate of how many other variations are there? I mean, how much more is there? It's when you were talking about, oh yeah, and I just found out last week. It's like
well, when we were young men, Jim, I think there were like 3 cannabinoids. CBN, THC, and maybe I don't think it was CBD. But then there were 50, and then there were 100. Now there's like 180. And who knows where it's going to end?
I know.
I can't say.
And
they all have to do with interactions with this neurological system that, when we were young men, they didn't even know existed.
Exactly. When first time I heard about the endocannabinoid system, I realized that was the validation that was necessary for me to know at least enough about it, that it wasn't hard for a real long time to be the smartest guy in the room on that subject, because there just wasn't a lot of. So I made it my business to have the bullet points, and that could be backed up. And all of a sudden, saying the same things I've always said became listenable to so many people now. It really validated everything and made it like, no, there is a real science to this that we just scratched the surface of. Not like there's nothing to it. There's everything to it.
It says here, higher levels of THCP may also produce sedative effects similar to high doses of THC and are potentially capable of soothing insomnia or relieving intractable pain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
It says
Nice.
Supports better sleep, promote pain relief.
That could be huge.
It's
huge.
So it's connected to Delta 11.
Whoa.
Mine says Delta 8, but yeah, it's still different deltas, I guess.
Yeah.
Man, this is where I need an interpreter for certain things.
Right?
Paul, I'm glad you're here. If I have a question, I don't know who else I would ask other than you, but the fact that when I'm hearing Paul Stanford say, I just found this out last week. You see, we have, and without getting national about it, I've noticed it was well put that we have a president that when he finds out about something, he assumes almost nobody knows and must,
Except
otherwise he would know. So it's like, there's something very few people know about. The world isn't flat or whatever. He just found out. But
yeah, he's shameful. I don't see how anybody voted for him myself.
The only reason I'm bringing him up in comparison to you is you are the direct polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
It's sort of like if you just found out about something, it is because it really nobody knew about it. I mean, I don't know who's going to find out quicker than you. You'd be my go-to guy.
Well, here it goes. Everybody watching this now knows, and really education is our most valuable tool. And that's where putting the information out on the internet and putting it out in video and cable access and
how do you find
in
it
public
is
forums makes a difference.
When you put it out too, you have more than one audience. You have an audience who's going to understand what you're saying because they already at least know something about it. But having that to back me up for anything, I have to translate it. I don't want to say dumb it down. It's not dumb it down if you've never heard it before, And I have a hard time finding bullet points that people can understand. That's why the endocannabinoid system was so easy. There was references, receptors, and people are picturing a cup filling up or some shit like that. I don't know what. But do you find it difficult to find the tenor in an explanation that will reach a maximum audience if everybody happened to see it? If you follow me, you know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I mean, I just try to do that in general.
No, you do good with me like that. I mean,
yeah.
But
I don't have a strategy or anything that I'm just trying to think of how I could explain it.
Yeah, it's usually metaphors. I
I
guess
have a layman's knowledge of
analogy.
science.
Yeah, well, that would be like whatever is a credible way to say. Well, that would be like and all the phrases that there are kind of apply. It's sort of like I'm blown away by the amount of what there is that's being found out now. That so quickly after something else is revealed, that adds to somebody else's and it jumps, and it's not all it's happening all over, so it's like fascinating at a time when that information can be disseminated more rapidly than ever before. And what you're saying about AI, I would think that's only going to advance that as well as advance stuff I'm not too sure about. You should be advancing. AI is a double-edged sword as there is. The meek shall inherit the earth. I'm not a biblical guy. I just throw it out there because when I say it's sort of like it used to be, it's the Romans and conquistadors and the strongest and fittest ruled the earth. And now it's the smartest, One
of the most interesting things talking about Christianity and going and talking about cannabis that I talk about in my presentations, because it's very visual, is a cathedral on the island of Sicily in Palermo. And it has like 1,200 pieces of art under glass since 1100 AD. And out of those 1,200, and this was 1100 AD, people didn't read and write back then, so pictures were a primary way of sharing a story. And so in about 30 of these pieces of art, it's depicted with God and Jesus with cannabis. And when Jesus heals the sick, the cannabis leaf is there. When Eve gives the apple to Adam, it's not there before, but as soon as he eats it, the cannabis leaf is there. And you go back to Egypt, and the cannabis leaf is above their goddess of wisdom. Anytime they show their goddess of wisdom, she's always depicted with a cannabis leaf above her head. So it's strange how this has been taken out of Christianity. I'm not a big Christian guy myself, but that's one of the things I talk about.
But this is the way to, I'm not a big Christian guy myself, but I have stooped so low at one point to say, I've prayed about this, and I actually feel like I've gotten an answer. Have you? To somebody that wouldn't want to lie about it.
I'll tell you, the research that Chris Bennett has done is groundbreaking. And, he's picked up on some previous research that had been, hadn't received much, mutual sharing or whatever at play. And so he has written a number of books about cannabis and Christianity in ancient times. Well, so he's the real expert on it. Some of these pictures that he says, well, those are icons, and you can always argue about icons. And is it this or is it that? But I think it's pretty clear what it is myself.
I'm just making notes here about, I can't believe the picture is worth 1,000 words. It was worth everything back then when you didn't have words, so I'd never heard this, and it's an unmistakable leaf. Well, they're in the Japanese.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't have it right where I can share it on my screen with you right this second.
No. I have to look this up, because that's really something I literally would keep in a hip pocket. Well, not literally, my wallet. When I would want a picture in discussion to do that, because I think that would almost really change the path of a discussion.
There's a bunch of them that I don't really understand what they're tied to, what biblical story they're tied to.
Yeah.
I've got them saved in my computer and whatnot, and I occasionally use them in my presentation. I just say, I don't know what's going on here.
Because even I know, how to, I research using a computer, and I'm not normally associated with that. But I do know how to like start tunneling this way and that and finding, oh, look what I found, and educating myself in my own way and time without, you know, missing something, failing a test and not graduating. I've been really more than I would ever thought adept at finding things out. And this I will be able to find. I mean, I don't have the really refined methodology, but this is like being as all my really original work was microfilm, you know, to find things out. And this is just so much better that when you tell me now what I know to look up, I'm kind of capable of getting close, and then I know where to go if I need refinement on it. I know exactly who to say, hey, look what I found, you know. So I would almost think you'll be hearing from me in the medium near future with a question about exactly this, because you know, this is like this is good. I mean, I remember when the Billy Graham Evangelical Association was one of the few I wrote in Cheryl's time, you know, to all the major, and I expected no results, but the Billy Graham Evangelical Association got back and said, being as this is as medicine for your wife and others, blah, blah, we would hope there would be an exception for this, meaning for everybody, not just for her. So that meant that Billy Graham's Evangelical Association supported this. And it was like, other than the Unitarian Universalists, is that, or Universal Unitarian, whichever, other than the UUs, it's Billy Graham Evangelical Association was the first to do this. And that really helped. Just saying that in the beginning, for in certain situations, really got you could see a difference in the listening, you know.
Yeah,
and
that was a different age.
Yeah, you know. Well, I carried that in writing and you know, in my wallet for a long time, but it's so long I didn't think I'd need it in my wallet for decades. I thought we're almost there. We're almost there.
In the Bible, there's a recipe for anointing oil in Exodus, and it calls for a bunch of pound of hash, but it's called calamus. They've translated it as calamus. Now, calamus could be a bunch of things. It's a reeded plant, a plant that's like a reed. It could be sugar cane, it could be calamus, but we all know what it is. We all know it's cannabis. I mean, come on, there's no medical cannabinoid system for a calamus. What, an endocalamus system in your body? No, I don't think.
Yeah, it's undoubtedly cannabis.
Yeah. So anyway, this is great news. Pictures. I mean, pictures anybody can understand.
And they found, you know, these hot box rooms in this Jewish temple they just publicized about 4 or 5 years ago, where they've got hashish burning on their altar there, you know, in this little hot box kind of situation. That was apparently one of the preferred means of consumption over the years, was to get into kind of a sauna tent with some hot stones and throw the cannabis on there and inhale the vapor, you know, and commune with God and your neighbors.
I've read that too. And there's actually, I think there's a temple in, I could be lying about where, but I think it's in Tel Aviv, where they found there's 3 different altars, and they found remnants of frankincense, and then they found remnants of THC and I think CBN. I'd have to check that, but and that's what they found on those 3 altars. So yeah, and that's, you know, we're talking like 2,500 years, you know, 2,500 years ago.
And as recently as like 800 AD as well, they found one that was like from 800 AD. So we're talking not that long ago.
Yeah,
you know, in Israel as well.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But when you look at the oldest written history in the Western tradition, the first known historian that we know of is the Greek Herodotus, and Herodotus wrote about the Scythians in Central Asia, kind of present-day Ukraine, and how they would get in a tent with an urn and put cannabis on the hot rocks, you know? And so that was back more than 5,000 years ago. So it's been a common practice for spirituality across many different cultures.
And China too, right?
Yeah, China, they still use it in their funeral processions. In communist China, you know, where they've wiped out a lot of their ancient culture, they still burn hemp paper money and items to send to their ancestors. And they wear white hemp collars at funerals and in mourning. If you go to traditional Chinese areas in Taiwan or Singapore, they have this thing called the wufu, where they would wear hemp hats, hemp clothes, carry hemp stuff. And I have pictures of that as well that I show in several different areas. You know, they do it in the Chinese communities do it in Indonesia, and they still practice this mourning using hemp. And in fact, in 2019, the Emperor of Japan abdicated for his son to take the throne. And so that started a process where this one family has been cultivating hemp for the Japanese emperor since, again, about 800 AD, almost 1,300 years. And they harvested their hemp crop in a holy manner. It's actually on television in Japan, and they processed it into rough hemp fiber, and then they transported it and made it into thread. Again, this is covered on the media in Japan. And eventually they made it into cloth. And then the emperor would wear it during the rice ceremony. And that's like one of the key things in Shinto and in the Japanese emperor's coronation ceremony. So then those clothes have to be burned. But if you go to any Shinto temple, and Shinto is the main kind of Zen Buddhist religion of Japan, the two sacred plants are rice and hemp. And all the Japanese temples are decorated with hemp at their entrances and at their altars. And it's all, you know, the United States made hemp illegal in 1945 in Japan, and it has been since then. But a few farmers and one company are allowed to cultivate it and process it for the Shinto religion, Shinto temples. Outside of that one family that supplies the Japanese imperial court's needs of hemp for their Shinto rituals. But yeah, it's interesting how it's tied into all these different cultures. And of course, in India, we have a bunch of different gods associated with cannabis, Shiva, Ganesh, you know, and each have their own unique story around it.
We should have religious use in New Jersey here.
Well, they do. You know, there's Rastafarians there, and people have their own.
Here's the latest Trump research.
We are everywhere, you know.
It
was Timothy Leary in this album he put out with Jimi Hendrix called "You Can Be Anything This Time Around." But Timothy Leary said in that, and in a bunch of his different talks, that, you know, there are more marijuana smokers than there are Jews and Christians combined. We're the largest group in the world, if we look at it that way.
Relativity is everything. That puts it well. You know?
Yeah.
Also disabled people.
Folks, is any other questions or anything here?
Yeah, about 1 million probably if I started re-looking at my notes.
You just opened up Pandora's box, bro. This is crazy.
Yeah, for real. You know, for me, it's a whole new. I call it put it in my hip pocket. You know, knowing more about this is going to come in handy for
Paul dropping THCP bombs.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I can relate just about anything to get medical cannabis patients rights to grow some of their own medicine in New Jersey. There's no conversation I can't work directly back to that, especially this.
So
I mean, it's just one more.
In New Jersey, do you have home grow yet? I know the last time we talked, you didn't have home grow. Are patients able to grow their own?
No. We
That's
don't have
disgusting.
any kind of home grow, but the
5
problem,
years in jail.
the problem is kind of that it's getting muddied together with adult home grow.
So an adult can't grow one cannabis plant, even though you can go buy it in store.
Patients can't grow one, even though it could save their lives.
Yeah.
And no adults can't grow one. But it's the only time I call it recreational cannabis, because I see, the thing is, we had recreational and legalization to go through, and it's going to be close. So it was tied to the greatest bunch of reforms in our medical cannabis law all at once. This big omnibus looking thing that just included so many good things in it, got tied to legalization to help get that through. But no, we couldn't get 21 out of 40 votes. It got up to 90. It was like, whack-a-mole. So what happened is they had to then send it to a referendum. We don't have initiative. That has to be sent there. Because we don't have the initiative process for referendum. And when that happened, these provisions that were in what was called Jake's Law, when it was a standalone, named after a young man, I guess he's 3 years old, somebody suffered that kind of loss that cannabis was good for. And governor realized this is the hook and the cover that he needed to really go big on it, but it couldn't be separated from adult concerns. So patients lost a full year of time on those improvements, which are now really good to have, because of being hooked together. I consider that a warning. So when we have two separate bills and one with them combined, all the co-sponsors, the interest is in medical. Well, maybe for medical, but I'm just not there. Never mind getting money into the treasury, just actual people's ingrained opinions. And I have a hard time running that by people. It's like, no, man, why can't we get ours too? And see, yeah, because it already put things back. It was a good little example. And that's kind of what's going on. And in effect, Paul, you'd understand this probably, that when we in New Jersey, we're famous for, we get a slice of the pie. And what's my slice of the pie? It's this whole Jersey attitude. And when it comes to our state government, they always going to get a slice of the pie. Now, Nick Scutari, Senate president, wasn't Senate president when he helped patients get everything and helped them get home grown. It got yanked out of his bill in 2009 because he was for it. Now he's a Senate president getting money into the Treasury with grander plans than this. And he's kind of stabbed patients in the back by being the one keeping the patients only bill from being heard for 3 years now. So that's where we are. But I understand what he's doing. If he doesn't do that, he will not let a bill be posted for adult home grow right now. And he keeps saying, because the industry needs to get off the ground, we need to get away. He's saying, and that's his leg to stand on. That's like something that's not just made up. And then, of course, he can abort it however he wants and extrapolate however he wants. But with patients, there became law in 2010. We had dispensaries, and in 2012, it's well off the ground. He's got no reason to hold that there except this. Yeah, he ain't going to let the bill be heard in the Senate. But the trick is, it's obviously the exact same bill, and for patients, in the Senate and the Assembly. So if either of those bills got heard, more than half that information would directly apply to adults' salient arguments about why they should have it too. A lot of the worry it's about misuse and all that, and it's going to be offered both ways. Patients first, that's where the pushback is going to be. So he had to cast a net wide enough that if he was talking seriously about a home grow bill for patients being heard, adults are going to be revived and rejuvenated, because they were at the gates for like 3 months. What do you mean we voted for it? What do you mean we can't have home grow? We thought it included home grow. In New Jersey, they thought it. That's cute. They thought it included home grow, even though it didn't say so in what they voted for. That after the travesty of the rollout of medical cannabis, and it wasn't what you would have thought. Obviously, we knew, but a lot of people apparently actually thought that, and they were pretty livid for about 3 months, and then it just sort of drifted away enough where it wasn't an issue. And if he starts making this okay for patients, it's going to give him all that much more push. And but I feel motion, and just on the quick here, the Senate Health Committee chairman is very much in favor of this, and he's been talking with us, on Zoom meeting, and making sure that we understand it's being turned away and he can't do anything about it. That's how it works. That's the rules in the Senate. But he never co-sponsored that bill as a senator until this week. So that, to me, says, wait a second, the same man that really does want it wasn't a co-sponsor himself until this week. I'm saying is going to send a message to other Democratic senators that it's okay to co-sponsor, because he's going to be okay. Senator Scutari isn't going to take him on for his co-sponsorship. He won't. But if you're, first year, second time around senator, you want that committee seat, somebody's retiring, and you want to be tight with the Senate president. You don't get that way by co-sponsoring a bill. That he doesn't want hurt. And I got it. I mean, I'm understanding that. Nonetheless, he's really kind of pushing it to the point where he's going to have to do something. He's going to suggest a stricter program of only the sickest and most hurt people who are registered patients. He's actually mentioned that to get away from a discussion one time, and that of course backfired because that's in my hip pocket. That's 3-4 years old now. So yeah, you know how that would go. What? Stage 1 cancer? No. Stage 2? Yes. Well, the whole point of getting it at stage 1 is to keep from getting to stage 2, you moron. You can't do that. So anyway, I'm trying to make sure people know, people, legislators, know that, this is certainly something that when he brings it up, I'm trying to cut him down beforehand. That's how he thinks he's going to let go the rope and sit back with that one. And it's not going to happen. So yeah, we got traction, and I don't feel like it's going to get pulled out. It really depends on if we get smart and can focus enough in the right areas. But I like your instant reaction about how egregious this is, because at the end of the podcast, eventually Lefty reads names of people who were in this fight and died before their time. Most are patients. Some could be people like that had interest. Only like you would read off names of people in the World Trade Center once a year, just so their names are said.
It was laughable to me when the term misuse of cannabis was brought up, because I get it. People are going to do shady things. That's just human nature. But like on a real note, I'd like someone to point to, like, what's the real misuse that they're doing? Like, okay, if they're selling where they shouldn't be, selling amounts they shouldn't be, that's one thing. But like, misuse is a very specific word, and I feel like there's a stigma to that too. And I feel like that leads people to think that people are patients, ingestors are using this commonly irresponsibly. So that always bothered me. I just don't think they're educated enough in a lot of the objections they're making, but that's obvious.
This is untimely for me. I have not a 6:30 deadline, but I try to keep my domestic capital at its highest point as possible, and it's kind of getting near time. So
yeah, why don't you stay with us and we'll finish the show with Paul.
Yeah.
We'll go through the list.
Yeah,
I want to thank Matt Hatter for having us here at this great dispensary. We have some really wonderful products here. So come on down to Matt Hatter, 845 Route 1, Avenel.
Best opening menu I've seen so far in New Jersey.
And many people are happy about the adult products. I'm telling you, a lot of people.
Hey, you guys seriously, like, I've watched like dispensaries come and open up, and you guys easily, like, just looking at the vape cartridges, you have such a wide net right off the start. And I don't know if that's just you guys being aggressive with who you get in contact with, or people, you guys just, whatever it is, great job. Really phenomenal, honestly.
So Paul understands this. Lefty hasn't gone outside. See, they're doing this from a dispensary where they're not allowed to smoke. There's an irony in that.
You can't smoke weed.
Because for all the years before that, it was just staying in that. And now I timed him 30 minutes. They go outside and continue, but he doesn't have his controls then,
No, I have controls.
But he's been sitting in here listening to everything you have to say rather than go out and have a smoke. So it's like a command performance, and watching the results that I've never seen him stay in the studio there this long. So you hold the record for keeping him in the studio.
That's right, Paul.
Man.
Thank you, Mad Hatter, CMMNJ, UFCW, Arlo Glass, OpenMachine.com, and SativaCross.org. You can donate tax deductible at SativaCross.org. Our list begins with Cheryl, Jim's late wife, and we all know why Cheryl's on this list. She was the first patient in New Jersey that helped to get medical cannabis here in New Jersey. Nobody knew about MS for cannabis for MS until people met Cheryl, and all of a sudden they were woke. They woke up real quick, like, whoa, this helps Cheryl. Whoa, okay.
That was the whole purpose, just to wake them up and be gatekeepers. That's all. She knew that too. And I only add because, like Lefty, says this, and sometimes we sort one out. Other than that, it's just one name after the other, and I take most of them like freaking body blows. But I listen to names being read off at the World Trade Center just somehow, so somebody's listening if it's on, and I'm have a moment. But it's she knew it wouldn't be done in her lifetime. And the reason when I read David Pace, Associated Press reporter, came to cover her going to get arrested at Bob Barr's office, and he needed to talk to her by himself. And I said, listen, I prefer to be away, and I was proud to read the next day. He asked her, do you think this is going to happen, soon enough for you? And she said, oh no, I'm trapped in my body and it's deteriorating and I can't do anything about it. There's a lot more other people that have more time. So that's why I do this. And it was like, yeah, that's so cool, but now that, now that we're here and it can happen, it's like really special to me. But this list hurts, but we do it because too many people don't understand. I mean, they don't see it. You do, because like your exact reaction was like, from that point of view, it was obvious. I mean, I recognize that. And other people just don't know. I mean, to my fine tuning on everything I say, but I always refer to it as a healthcare issue when I'm talking to a legislator about this bill. That's a healthcare issue, not allowed to have its first informational hearing. It's that all those little things do add up. And, human
rights issue.
So to do this, it's like for 10 years now. 10 years, it's been our duty to try to ruin people's high and be a buzzkill and bring a little bit of sadness to their life if it'll help them understand how good it is when they do something.
Don't forget, this is not a comedy; it's a tragedy.
It's not a spectator sport, people. Anyway.
What's that? Buckingham, what?
Sometimes seems like a comedy the way things play out, but
we make it a comedy, but it's really
you laugh through the pain. That's what you do.
Tragic comedy.
Yeah, I'm already rocking, man. Read the list. I can't handle it.
Sabina Rose is a 15-month-old baby who died from a 25-hour seizure. They're terrible. How's that feel?
Awful.
How do you think her parents felt put in that position where?
Well, I think that they had to have her examined to see if she was mentally competent. What to have that psychologist? That was the rules, and
a quarter of her life was wasted finding a psychiatrist.
To what? They move a mobile and a cannabis leaf and they get some. Jesus Christ.
She ran out of time because of that stupid crap right there. She ran out of time.
That's why.
Chris Christie.
Yeah, we remember though.
Yeah, we blame Chris Christie for that one because the parents were in a horrible position. You either give your kid cannabis illegally and they take your kid and put him in foster care and they kill him, or You let your kid, you wait and wait and wait and wait. It's terrible.
Heartless.
Hit us, man. Go ahead. I'm propped up. I'm ready.
Diane Ripatella, she was at the State House. Gracie, Cindy May, these are children. Marie from Pennsylvania, cancer. Jack, Joan Ford wrote a book about epilepsy, and back in the 40s, when Joan would have a seizure, the nuns would throw holy water on her, thinking she was possessed by Satan, and then the nuns would tell everyone to stay away from Joan because she's possessed by the devil.
That's fact.
Now that one sink in. Randy Robertson, they gave him the Whipple procedure before he got cannabis oil. And the Whipple procedure is when they take out your organs. You just remove stuff.
Well, they take them out to fix them. They don't throw them away.
No, they don't put them back.
That's not.
What do they do? So explain the Whipple procedure, please, because I'm disgusted by this.
It's for pancreatic cancer. So they remove as much as they can from the pancreas and any other organs that may be affected. But
it's every organ, right?
It's a really, really horrible procedure to go through, and it's a Hail Mary pass.
Well, they did that before they gave him cannabis. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I like lefties way better, but we'll go with the truth. We'll set a precedent here.
From what I understand, they removed a lot of his organs. There wasn't just one thing; it was a bunch of.
Yeah, well, the point is the same, and the way Sue put it, actually,
it's terrible.
Drove it home more than the way you put it. No offense, I'm just standing back here. We can see a replay and judge that later, though.
Bill Buckman, Polly Connolly, Chad, Jeremy, that's Joanne's husband, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger Barber, who fought to have his kid to use cannabis in school. She had seizures, and she couldn't use cannabis in her school. And they made her go across the street 1,000 feet away to use her cannabis and then come back to school, and it was ridiculous. And Roger fought for that.
Yeah, and no offense, just to make it quick, Roger, being the lawyer that he was, and I found his card. I was looking through my wallet looking for a card of anyway, and they got Roger Barber's card right there. I don't know if you can see it. Why do I have a hard time getting? Yeah,
it's
anyway,
too close. It's too close. Back it up.
There you go. Yeah, but see, it's that kind of old. And Bill Buckman, and just seeing them today already, smack me, and I forgot I'm getting another. So I mean, this is like hours ago. So yeah, Roger Barber's the reason that New Jersey. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. J.O. Leto, Ella Bagelman, Hattie Koshel. That was my grandma. I used to bring her full vape bags from a volcano to test her breathing until she figured it out. She realized I was getting her high, and she started asking for it after that. She's like, "Hey, this is some pretty good air my grandson brings me. I want some more of this." And she started asking me for that sweet air that I'd bring her, and it made her happy.
How old was she? How old was she, Lefty?
95.
Yeah, he had her on the podcast one time. Oh, she was the sweetest thing ever. I never met her, but I loved her from that moment. The way you two related, and that was probably during these times. I would guess.
Oh yeah, I was taking care of her.
That's nice.
Jackie Rickert, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian Kuprian. That's your buddy. We had to add him to the list, and he did a lot of stuff with you, I believe. Flo, Carl, Thorne Peters. Thorne Peters used to say no mens rea. He didn't believe in any of these laws. He believed that no mens rea. There's no guilty mind. There's nobody. There's no victim. No mens rea means you have to have a guilty mind, and it doesn't mean that. It means, like, put it this way: when Rosa Parks sat in the front of the bus, was she wrong or was the government wrong?
Government.
The government was wrong, but she was breaking the law. Why is there a law that black people have to sit in front. There was a law that black people couldn't marry white people. They needed a law to change that to allow black people to marry white people. Why do we need a law for that? That's a God-given right to marry anyone you want, but we needed a law. So there's no mens rea. All these cannabis laws are bullshit. I believe you, Thorne. I believe they killed him in jail. They actually killed him in jail.
A quick segue, really, when Cheryl thought, why don't we go to Washington and break the law after we didn't get arrested for her doing her illegal test from her hospital bed in New Jersey? Why don't we go to Washington and break the law? And the reason she said it is we watched a movie that included quite a bit about Rosa giving up I'm not giving up her seat. And that kind of was a prelude to the request to go. So that was a carry on of that in the end, Cheryl was invited to go to Michigan for something that Rosa Parks and her foundation were putting on about women in advocacy or something like that. So, I informed them about Cheryl, and we got invited real quick and couldn't make it. But then, she had a signed copy of her latest memoir. And so anyway, no mens rea. I didn't know that was it, or I would have sounded even smarter then.
And here's Thorne Peters.
I am the law. No mens rea.
I am the law. He used to say that all the time. I am the law. The entity is not the law. I am the law. I have constitutional rights, not the entity. But in New Jersey, the entity has constitutional rights to grow cannabis.
Listen, I'll only do it one more time, so I'm not laughing alone out here. But when we got Cheryl to break the law the first time to go to Washington, and had to carry her up into a motel room where everybody was waiting, people we hadn't met and anything. It was a long trip. We finally got parked, and I got out and said, "There's a new sheriff in town, and her name's Cheryl." Just to get her going. And now I'm hearing this. It's exactly the same thing. It's good. It's making me smile at the end of this.
You're not supposed to smile, Jim.
I know. I can't help it though.
All right,
it just ties together. Go ahead.
All right, here I'm gonna hit you in the gut. Here's a gut punch. All right, Frank, Lorraine, Terry Harris. Remember Terry Harris?
Yeah.
He had diabetes, and his diabetes levels were like 600, and he didn't have, unfortunately, the insurance or the money to take care of his diabetes. And unfortunately, when you have diabetes and you don't have money, you're kind of rationing your insulin, and that's not good to ration your insulin. So,
good job.
Uh-oh.
The power tools.
Yeah, I see power tools. I'm looking out.
I'm uncomfortable.
Oh boy.
You're right at the end too.
Frank,
attached to.
We're at the finish line here. Come on, Lorraine,
finish line.
Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lou, Becky, Lawanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus,
Daughter.
Gary Sage, Julia, and Jeff Oakes, the mighty Jeff Oakes.
Yeah, wow. The last three, man. That's a triple header there. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, it's just like somehow keeps it more real just to hear the names mentioned. I don't know why that comforts me though. I don't know.
There's you. I think it's comforting because
you think it would happen. You would think it might happen to you when you're not here, perhaps.
Well, I think it makes you comfortable because you're not alone. That you dealt with the loss of this, and the fact
and also Cheryl is memorialized. Like that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So
we talk about her. We think about her all the time.
Well, not just that. When I got to go back and get something or look at a picture, I'm constantly reminded, especially this week, looking for something about the memorial for her at the Supreme Court with Barney Frank having a press conference with the Students for Sensible Drug Policy ready to go out and lobby after that, and the trip to the MS office, impromptu, all that for that weekend. And the people that came, because Normal was able to get a decent grant and get patients from all over the country to travel there. That's I don't know anybody else I know who had a memorial for them at the Supreme Court. That's like really fucking cool, man. And I sorry to swear, but it's that cool.
Paul, do you have a website or a way people can find your information out?
Oh, sure. I have a bunch of them. If you do a Google search just for Paul Stanford, I'll come up pretty much at the top. My main site is, there's 1,000 Paul Stanfords, but I'm
that was cool.
Up there a few times. A friend of mine created these various sites about like my early business activities, my volunteer stuff. So he did some, whatever they call it, recognition stuff out there that's still there. I pay for the domains at least. But the main one is CRRH. CRRH for Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp. That is an Oregon political committee. Used to be a 501c4 until about 2009 when the IRS decided marijuana shouldn't have a 501c3 or a C4 anymore. So then there's THC-Foundation. That is my medical clinic business. CRRH.org is the political committee, an archive of sorts of all those hemp news stories going back to the 80s. And THC-Foundation.org is our medical clinic one. So I'm also trying to get hemp.org, HEMP.org. So I'm working. I'm working on that one too.
Wow, that's an old domain.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Paul.
I want to thank you guys for having me on. And,
thank you so much, Paul. Thank you.
My pleasure. I'm going to take off here, but keep it up.
One thing, the quickest. He always asked everybody, "What's your favorite munchie food?" Real quick and
yeah. What's your favorite munchie food right now tonight?
My favorite munchie food?
Yeah,
your
I like spicy guacamole with cucumber chips.
All right.
Spicy guacamole with cucumber chips.
That's the first.
Yeah. You don't get all the corn stuff, no carbs, good fats. That's my favorite food.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Now I'm starving.
You'll never find anyone else to say that.
No, never again. That's the first.
I'm gonna try to have some tonight. All right, man.
Well, thanks for being here.
Good night. Keep working to restore hemp.
Yes.
All right.
So before we go, Bucket Man, you came all the way here, but I don't want to just jump off the air while you're here. So what you have? You had to take care of your cat, your kitty. How's your kitty?
God, what was it? Last week she was laying on a pile of clothes, and I guess it fell, and she got her paw, I guess, sprained or something. She's been very uncomfortable for the past week, so I finally got someone to come out and pick her up and bring her to the vet. So, we'll know more soon. I think she's just a little spooked right now, but when your fur babies,
good luck with your cat.
Not feeling good, you feel it.
Sending good vibes for your cat from the West Coast.
I appreciate it. And Paul, I didn't get to talk to you enough, but you seem like a really cool guy, and I'm excited to see more of what you do. Yeah, everyone, thank you for coming. Thank you for acknowledging me and spotlighting me like you did, Lefty. I appreciate it. And I just want to say again, Mad Hatter's off to a great start here. Easily one of the best opening menus I have seen in New Jersey so far, right off the bat. You guys got a great vibe in this place. The podcast room in the back, cool staff in the front. They're very knowledgeable and very nice. And yeah, this whole lot over here is going to look a lot cleaner, I hope.
Oh, yeah. It looks great now.
Throw this up as quick as you can so Bucket Man can see what he missed right away. There you go.
Adios, amigos.
All right. Adios. Amigos.
Yes, me too.
Did I say that right? Adios?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Adios.
I always mess this up, but I'm out of here.
See ya.
Okay, my turn. Bye-bye.
Oh, Sue's
Love
leaving
you
us.
guys.
Bye, Sue. Love you too. Well, it's just us three. Okay.
Want to get high?
Want to get stoned?
Want to get high?
I do.
So we're going to go get high.
You got any weed?
I have my cart. I have like 5 carts on me.
Really? Oh, shit. Wow, you look like the guy. You know, where's your trench coat? Like, you know,
No, get out of here, Jim. You're not even a real pervert.
Pervert. You want to hear pervert?
Oh no.
No, never mind.
Ooh.
We won't go there.
Ooh. Ooh. Is that the noise you're going to play?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well.
Is this it?
I'm Dick Black. You're doing a porno movie, right?
Right.
Then I'm the man for you.
Well, I'm glad to meet you, Mr. Black, but I'm afraid you're not exactly the type we're looking for.
You mean because I'm black?
No, you're just not the type.
What do you mean, not the type? Man, don't you know who I am? I'm Big Dick Black. I've done more porno movies than you ever saw. I worked with Harry Reams, Johnny Wide. Not the type. I can come 10 times a day. I can keep it hard for 2 hours at a time. I'm a woman's dream. I got a dick hung on me 9 inches long.
I'm sorry, Mr. Black. I'm sure you're very good, but at the moment, I just don't have anything for you. If something comes up, I'll be happy to give you a call.
Shh. You don't want to hire niggas, that's all. I knew this was a scam. This is bullshit.
This bullshit. I love that. That was incredible. Oh my God. What is that from?
George C. Scott. It's a movie called Hardcore. Rob, you ever see the movie Hardcore? George C. Scott. His daughter goes and makes porno movies, and he goes and tracks her down.
It's like it's got Who's Up Next vibes, but it's about porn, and it's really funny.
Okay, terrific.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
So anyway,
so I'll end the show on that note.
On a good note.
Great show. Until then.
Yeah, we're wrap it up.
Wrap it up. That's it. Shut it down.
Shut it down.
Rob's sitting there
Shut
like,
it
what are they
all
doing?
down.
We need a new podcast. Rob's like, get these guys out of here. These guys suck.
Maneuver his legs.
They're not funny. They're not even funny anymore.
Or we weren't from the beginning.
I don't think we ever were funny.
Yeah, we're more crass.
Yeah.
But we advocate well.
Yeah, I'm a good advocate. That's why we're here.
World star hip hop.
We fit right in here. I didn't realize that. Now why I fit in here. They're actually crazier than I am.
That's what she said.
Yeah. That was not. That was a.
No.
No, that was.
Maybe that one.
Like
how about this one?
There you go. There you go.
Brother,
Play this out.
what's that? What's that, brother?
I think you guys should have like a smooth jazz spoken word version of your opener as your outro.
Smooth jazz?
Like, who you want to...
Mad Hatter Dispensary. Open now. 845 Route 1 Avenel. Get your dildos and dongs. Oh. What? Dongs and schlongs? Bongs and schlongs. Mad Hatter Dispensary. Oh. Mad Hatter Dispensary. And schlongs. Mad Hatter Dispensary. Hey, this could be a thing.
No.
No? All right, never mind. All right, we're going to cut it. Cut it, shut it down. We should have shut it down 5 minutes ago. Good night, everybody. See ya. We're going to go get stoned. Yeah.